Hello, I'm Wendy Nelson from Tiny Dog Reading. In this video, I want to talk about the sound of J and the different ways we can spell it. You probably already know that there is often more than one way to spell a sound in English. There are a few reasons for this. One is that the sounds of words can change over time, but the spelling usually doesn't. So letters that used to sound different now sound the same. Another reason is that English has borrowed lots of words from other languages over time, and we often borrow the spelling too. Different languages have different spelling patterns. So a sound that is spelled with one letter or group of letters in Greek might be spelled with a different letter or group of letters in Latin, and English borrowed words from both of those languages. A key concept to be aware of when it comes to English is that there is not a one-to-one correspondence between sounds and letters. If you watch the video about C, K, and CK, then you already know that there are three different ways to spell the sound that comes at the beginning of the word cat. In other words, three different spellings can correspond to the same sound. That just means that they go together. This time, we're going to look at some words that have the sound J, like at the beginning of the word jump. And you'll learn that there are three different ways to spell that sound too, depending on where the sound is in the word. So let's pull up some words here and see if we can figure out what's happening. We'll kind of learn about the different patterns. So here we have the word jet, like a fast airplane. And at the beginning of the word jet, we have the letter J, which you should know makes the sound J. So when you hear that sound at the beginning of a word, usually we're going to spell it with the letter J. J likes to go at the beginning of words. Here's another one. We've got jog. Now, just as a reminder, this is a closed syllable, one consonant after the vowel makes it short sound, aw, so we get jog. And that J at the beginning is going to give us the sound of J. And here's another one, jab. J likes to be at the beginning of a word. J can also be in the middle of a word, and it will make the same sound J. I just don't have any examples of that in this particular video. But the letter J in English does not go at the end of words. There are several letters that we don't like to put at the end of words. We've already seen some of them, the letter U, the letter I, and the letter J is another one of these. When you hear that sound that J usually makes, J, at the end of a word, we can't spell it with a J. We're going to have to spell it with a different letter. If you have watched the video about the different jobs of the letter E, then you might remember which letter we can use to make a J sound when we put an E after it. That's right, it's a G. The letter G with an E after it gives us the sound of J. So when we hear that sound at the end of a word, we're going to spell it with a G-E. And here, remember that E on the end can have two different jobs. It's making the G say J. It's also going to jump over to this vowel and make it long, A. So this word is going to be cage. Do you hear that J at the end of our word? We're spelling it with a G-E. Here again, we've got that G-E at the end. The E jumps over and makes the U say ooh, which is one of its long sounds. So this is going to be huge. And here's another one. E jumps over and makes the A say its name. It softens the G to a J, so we get stage. Okay, so when we hear J at the end of a word, we're going to spell it with a G-E. Not always. Because in these three words we just saw, the E is jumping over to make our vowel long. If we have a long vowel sound before the sound of j at the end of a word, we're going to spell it with a GE. But sometimes our vowel here before the j is going to be a short vowel sound. And if that's the case, we don't want this E to jump over and make that vowel long. So we need to block the E. E has short legs. It can only jump over one letter. So what are we going to do to block it? We're going to put in a letter D. And this letter D is silent. It's not going to make any sound in this word. It has a job to do. Its job, because it's nice and tall, it can block that E from getting over to the other vowel. So this is kind of a strange thing that we do in English. Sometimes we will throw in a letter to do a job for us, but we don't want that letter to make any sound. And in this particular case, the letter we've chosen is the letter D. So we know that this E on the end is going to make the G say J. We know that the D is here to block the E. So this first E over here is going to be a short vowel, eh, and the D is silent. So this word is going to be edge, edge, like the edge of the table or the edge of the paper. Okay, so this is something a little bit different. We're using 3 letters to make one sound. Have you learned about digraphs where we have 2 letters making one sound? And di at the beginning of that means 2. Do you know what we use to express the concept of 3? Have you ever ridden a tricycle or drawn a triangle? Well, in that case, you might know that tri means 3. So this, when we have 3 letters making one sound, we're going to call that a trigraph. DGE only makes one sound, J, at the end of a word after a short vowel. And this happens a lot. Here's another word. DGE, end of a word, makes the sound J. It comes after a short vowel, so this vowel is going to sound like it. So this word will be b-er-i-j, bridge. And let's look at one more. DGE on the end says j. It comes after a short vowel, so this is going to be aw. D-odge, dodge. Maybe you've played dodgeball in gym class. I never liked playing dodgeball. Somebody always gets hurt, but I guess some schools do still play it. All right, anyway, those are the 3 different ways that we can spell the sound of J. The letter J is going to go at the beginning of a word and sometimes in the middle. But if we have that J sound at the end, it will either be GE if it's after a long vowel or DGE if it's after a short vowel. I hope that this was helpful. And if you're looking for a structured way to help the struggling reader in your life, please check out my online course, Introduction to Reading. You can find a link with more information just below this video and also in the posts on my YouTube channel. And until next time, happy reading!